Hey there, Star Wars fans. It is David, the Bowtie Jedi guy, and we have got something very special for you today. Are you ready to share your Star Wars love with your kids, but maybe feeling a little bit lost about this? You're in luck, because this week we are joined by the ever enthusiastic Cam Ray from Star Wars and Smile. Cam is here to remind us that Star Wars is actually supposed to be a lot of fun, and he's going to share some hilarious twists on some classic scenes. He's going to talk about how he introduced a Kowakian monkey lizard named Bub on Good Morning America, and there's like this story with Dave Filoni and all of that. Yeah, you heard that right. It's crazy. You can't wait to hear that. We're also going to let Cam share how he's discovered the galaxy far, far away through his kids' eyes, and share some tips on how to make Star Wars an unforgettable experience for the whole family. So as Lando Calrissian said in Solo, a Star Wars story, buckle up, baby, and let's get ready to ignite your Star Wars spark again. Stay tuned, because this episode is going to be an absolute blast.
Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a Star Wars podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by the writer and director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson. Get ready to explore a galaxy far, far away across the generations. Here is your host, David the Bow-Tie Jedi Guy, along with his special guest, the host of the Star Wars and Smile podcast, Cam Ray.
Cam, tell me what has been the most bizarre or fun Star Wars experience you've had with your kids?
Oh, okay. Most bizarre or fun. Well, I think something that was cool with my son a few years back was we got to go on Good Morning America. They did a little Twitter at the time, had a little, like, hey, anybody have a question to ask Dave Filoni? And I was coming home from driving my son home from school, and I saw that, and I was like, hey, I got to film something because maybe I could get on. And so I'm like, and my pet monkey lizard Bub is always a good, I'm like, nobody cares to see some old bald guy talk, but they love to hear a monkey lizard have something to say. So I still remember, because we had to run through and pick something up from a drive-through, and so I'm in there writing a little quick script. Come home, set up the camera, get Bub on my shoulder, and film the little call and response. He's wanting to ask a question. I'm like, you're a pet, not a pet. And then I ask a question about the High Republic for Dave Filoni, and send it off. Send it in, and I'm like, well, we'll see. And sure enough, got a thing back like, hey, we want to have you on. A bunch of different fans will be on. You'll be on the Jumbotron and all of this, and then they're going to pick a few of the questions or a couple of the questions to ask Dave Filoni. But we didn't know, if going to be on it or not. Yeah. So Joe and I, we're visiting family at the time at my sister's house. So we set a little studio up, and of course, everybody's making fun of me because I don't live in a family of Star Wars nerds. It's like it's me and my two kids, and then everybody else is really good at eye rolling. And so, and I have to like protect all of my stuff. Like the Wampa rug has survived for years, and there's always the threat of the Wampa rug's got to go. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? The Wampa rug? Like to me, that sounds insane that you would ever think the Wampa rug needed to go. It's like, but anyway.
The pictures of your children when in kindergarten go before the Wampa rug.
Yeah, it's like, you kidding me? What? Anyway, so we're on, and we're on the Jumbotron waving with a whole bunch of different fans. We're in the little chat room and all with them. And it's like, oh, it's cool. And so we're watching the Star Wars Day. It's on May 4th. And they're like, and here's, we have a question. And the first question comes up, and it's Pete, who we both know. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. I was like, of all the people, like, I know this guy personally. It's not, Pete from Around the Galaxy. Anyway, and then, and so, oh, that's cool. I was like, and then so in my mind, I'm like, well, now I know I won't be on there because I know this person. What are the chances?
What are the odds, right?
And then he's like, and here's another question from a fan duo. And I'm like, duo? And then there we are, Bub and me up on there and ask the question. Dave Filoni answers it all. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It wasn't like.
What was the question?
I asked, because at the time, the High Republic had just come out. I was reading it, enjoying the books, and I was just asking if it would ever make its way into live action or animation, because at the time, and so he kind of gave a political answer. He's like, "Oh, you never know," but it's like, I mean, anything can happen. It's a big galaxy, and he kind of laughed at Bub when we did the whole shtick. So then I did a thing with Bub later, how he's like, Dave Filoni, I'm canon now because Dave Filoni laughed at me. And if he laughed at me, then he confirmed, then he's like approving of me. Anyway, he did this whole crazy monkey lizard math thing. And I don't know, it was just kind of cool because, my son got to be a part of it.
That's so fun.
And so, and now he's 16 now. And so we still, he loves Star Wars and all. And my daughter's 8. So we haven't had a specific thing like that, but she loves Star Wars and we enjoy it together. And she's on, well, I guess I say that, but she, have a new podcast, Star Wars and Smile, that started. And about a year ago, the idea was to do a daddy-daughter discussions from Dagobah podcast. And so we had recorded the episode, but then it's, as it's like there's a lot involved, life's happening. It's like, man, I can't keep up with this. I do some comedy stuff here and there, but it's kind of just random. It's not, I don't have like a production facility, where I'm like, we gotta put this out daily. So anyway, so it just sat on the back burner. Then I flash forward, started the podcast. And so one of the episodes I, incorporated that into there. She didn't have her R's in yet. They were still W's at the time. So it was really cute. It was great that we got it recorded.
It's gold when that happens.
Gosh. It's just Stormtrooper and all of that. It's great. And so she actually does a little monkey. We came up with a little monkey lizard cousin named Bibby. And so she does the little Bub voice. It's hilarious. And so anyway, so we're about to record our second one. We just watched the Tales of the Underworld. Oh yeah. And so we're going to do a daddy daughter discussion on what's her name? I can't even come up. Asajj Ventress arc. Yeah. So anyway, so that'll be coming out in a few weeks. But so that's something that we're now getting to do together. And so love it. Not that it's like a big we're meeting someone famous or this and that, but I don't, I think it's so cool that we can talk about Star Wars and I can see it through the eyes of, an 8-year-old or a 16-year-old even. So.
Yeah, that's something obviously that's very near and dear to my heart as well. So your podcast is called Star Wars and Smile, and that's such a great title. What inspired you to focus on the joyful side of Star Wars fandom? Was there a specific moment or a realization that sparked this?
Well, David, I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. So, which honestly, it's like, I feel like I want to have a voice and I want to participate in the community and do what I do, but I've always just gravitated to comedy. I'm a musician professionally. And so, anything combining comedy and acting and graphic, like video editing, all of that. I just love making people laugh and smile. From a creative standpoint, but just in life in general, I think I'm always the one to, it's like in a meeting, I'm like, I've got to throw in a joke or something. It's like, this thing is dragging on, it's like, and I feel like I'm a kid in some instances because I feel like I don't fit in with the other adults because I'm like, I got to say, I got to break this is boring, it's like, I'm bored. And so so I feel like but I love to see people smile. I like that. And so, and as you know, there's a lot of negativity and anywhere, not just everybody likes to call out Star Wars for that, but I think
it's Star Wars that's the most negative.
Right. But I think it's just
if you're in any fandom, it's your fandom that's the worst.
Yeah. It's the human, it's just human nature. It's like we can choose how we're going to, it's just, we have that free will to be happy about something or mad or sad or snarky about something. And so the only time I am mad or upset about something is when I'm pretending to be that way, and
which is quite often, honestly.
I gravitate towards that character because I think it's not me necessarily in real life. And so I think it's funny. I love Michael Scott in The Office. And not that he's always angry, but I love that kind of like dumb, kind of cocky, arrogant, he's kind of has some authority, but nobody really respects it character. And so I do play that a lot. And I was doing That's a Load of Star Wars series for a while. And I realized where I just played an angry fan but I would get all the facts wrong, but just complain about Star Wars. But I realized 90% of my audience thought I was for real.
Well, that's because it's so on the nose with the way that some of the fandom is.
And I'm thinking, I'm so over the top. Nobody's going to believe this guy's screaming. My blood vessels are popping out of my head, and I'm screaming, but I'm calling, like, it's like I'm getting it totally wrong, whatever I'm saying about it, but I'm like, oh man, like I'm spending most of my time in the comment section continuing this character
misassumption, right?
Yeah. And so I'm like, I really just want people to laugh, honestly. And so I'm like, and so I started thinking, well, I like Star Wars and I like making people smile. So like I said, I'm not a smart man. So I was like, hey, I like to Star Wars and smile. And so I was like, I think that covers it all. I can interview people. I can share, I want to, like kind of like you do, just I want to like promote other people and what I like and good things and positive things. And there's so many other podcasts that I kind of want to do it kind of maybe more in a variety show, silly kind of comedy segment kind of way.
That's awesome. Good Morning Coruscant, right? Like from Andor, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So you obviously bring a lot of humor into the way that you view Star Wars, and you obviously in all the Star Wars content that you put out and all the different platforms that you've been a part of. What's your approach to finding the funny side of a galaxy far, far away without diminishing the story's impact?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I like to watch these things and I like to think deeply about them and whatnot. But then I also, I think a lot of people do that well, kind of like I'm saying, there's so many out there that really dig it. And I love to have those discussions. I'd love to be on like your show and other things and talk about that. But I feel like so many people do that better than me. I feel like I'm not maybe the best spoken person, but I do feel like I can do comedy pretty well. And it's not real. I guess it's just, I try to find something that, and I am intentional I don't want to push buttons or like, and you could spend all day trying not to offend someone. So it's not that I'm like just trying to, because then I wouldn't produce anything, because it's like you can produce the most pure content in the world and someone's going to be mad. Not necessarily that, but I try to find something that maybe this topic could be a little, or I see like, oh, there's some tension here. And then I think that's the purpose of comedy anyway, is like, we can laugh at ourselves, even our faults or things that we disagree with. So I try to find something like that. And then like, what's an angle that isn't necessarily picking a side or saying, you're right, or this is too much this or too much that. It maybe seem like you're going in a certain direction, like, oh boy, he's about to take this stance with this side of the fandom. And then just flip it on its head, which is what comedy does. You think you're going one way and it's like, no, we're going this way. And it's like, then it ends up, I've got a little pink elephant that I'm talking baby talk to address the pink elephant in the room.
Is making an idiot. How did that come about? How did you come up with the idea of Bub the Monkey Lizard?
Well, honestly, there's a guy, Salacious Rum. He's a guy who has a monkey lizard, and I was interacting with him a little bit, and he does like toy reviews and different things like that, and so that was kind of cool. I like that. I've always liked the monkey lizard, just him laugh, the puppetry and all that. Jim Henson in general, all the characters in Star Wars, and just I think it's just it's just that goofy character. So I like that. Went to Galaxy's Edge. They were selling monkey lizards and they had like the colorful ones. I'm like, oh, okay. I've seen, Salacious Rum doing the like the Salacious Crumb one, and he has his own little character, and we kind of interacted and I got that. And so we did a few back and forth things or whatnot. And so it was kind of just started out that way. So it wasn't like my brilliant idea. I guess, like most of my ideas, I just copy somebody else's ideas. So take their podcast ideas. I've done that to, I think
starting a podcast with your child.
Yeah. Call it Camuine Sons. Yeah. But,
exactly.
Yeah. No, but also there's nothing new under the sun, as far as ideas go. So it's like, I could spend all day because part of me wants to like, I want to be completely creative and just come up with my own thing that nobody's ever thought of. And I guess, as you get older and wiser, you're much older and wiser than me. So, no, just kidding. But it's true. The wise part, and
the older part.
And also the older part. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, it's true. It's true. All of it. So I just kind of tell myself, it's like, okay, I want to make it my own, but you can't just like say, I'm not going to do this. So I was like, well, I'm going to do this, but I want to do my own thing with it. And, so just the other side, it's like kind of like that. The monkey lizard's the main thing. And with mine, I thought, well, Bub can be kind of like a little side, kind of the Dwight to my Michael Scott. So we're both kind of bumbling idiots, but he's a little more of a bumbling idiot. But then sometimes it reverses and he's the voice of reason. I don't know. It's just fun. And I love the whole puppetry thing. And then the creativity trying to figure out how to do that. And, Bub's got a Bubber Shop quartet. He's working on their first release right now. It's called the Yub Nub Bubber Shop Quartet. They'll be releasing their first, hit in a few weeks. So it's going to be pretty fun.
Can't wait to hear it.
So we'll do musical numbers and things like that and little silly antics. And so then, we've got another, I agreed on our last podcast to let Bub, adopt a pet loth cat. So,
nice.
Spoiler alert, Bub's about to get his own pet.
Is he going to start his own podcast with the cat?
So now it's going to be me, and then he's going to be like the Dwight, and I don't know what the loth cat would be in the office analogy, but he'll be like the next one down. I guess the Toby, to the group. But,
Unless it's a banjo and then it's Andy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah, right. So anyway, it's just fun. I love that. And I think it keeps it when you have like a puppet or some kind of a character like that, you can only be so serious. And so but then, I just think it adds to the comedic element. And I kind of like the old school comedy, grew up
We don't
on
have enough of that anymore.
That's the thing. Yeah. The variety show, Dick Van Dyke Show, like the old, like I Love Lucy and just those kind of shows that they're funny. Anybody can watch them, family friendly, but you can still have, a variety of topics.
Sure.
But,
Speaking of family, obviously you mentioned that in your family, it's you and fortunately for you now, your kids that are into Star Wars, which is, it's a story that I relate to as well, because the only reason that Tatooine Sons exists in the first place is because my wife banned Star Wars conversation from our kitchen table because Sam and Nate and I were talking about it too much. And
nice.
She's like, you've got to find another place to do this. We're not allowed to talk about it at
awesome.
dinner anymore with it. What's been the most surprising or maybe heartwarming thing that you have discovered about Star Wars while watching it with your kids?
Oh, wow. You know what? This is just recently. It's on my mind. I'm a little brain dead sometimes, so I'll just come up with the most recent thing, and it kind of relates to all of it. But like when we were actually watching the Saj Ventress arc with my daughter, when it gets towards the end, spoiler alert if you haven't watched Tales of the Underworld, but when she the kind of the old, I don't know, he was a military guy and he's like, I can't change, I don't like, you guys are enemies or whatever. And but that whole moment where she's like, we can try or whatever. And like, I look over, my daughter's tearing up and she's really like taking it in, that whole like, man, like he's done all this bad stuff and they can forgive each other and like people can change and become friends. And I don't know, it's just, she's very like just emotional like that. She really like cares about people, but to watch something like it's an animated series on Star Wars, little shorts about these pretend characters. I mean, it's, you could just roll your eyes about it all day, especially if you're not, but it's so impactful, that's like that kind of a lesson, and that we can now we get to talk about it for a podcast episode and and relate it to real life. And, so I think those kind of moments, and even with my son, teenagers sometimes can be closed off and kind of, they're in their own world. But like, as soon as we start talking Star Wars or Marvel, it's like, that's like our, like,
their shared language.
We can sit for hours and talk about it, but then it leads into other things too, actual serious conversations. And that's what you guys do on your podcast. So you totally, understand, but it's like, I think it does. It opens up. It's that illustration, not to get too spiritual, but, Jesus taught in parables. And so there's a reason that, like teaching in stories and pictures, and it's because we relate, we see ourselves in those characters, and then it opens up a real dialogue, about our real relationships. So
one of the challenges of, and actually not even a challenge, maybe the unexpected, blessings of watching a franchise that you and I grew up with, that we loved so much, that has now released so much new content, and our kids are experiencing this franchise through their perspectives and this new content. One of the exciting things about that is seeing the way they view these stories differently sometimes than we view them, and we learn things from them. Have your kids ever kind of challenged your own interpretations of or opinions about Star Wars in any way?
Gosh, that's a good question. I have to think on that because I'm blanking right now, honestly.
That's good. No, we're good.
I'm just trying to think what would have been something where that would be the case. Well, and I don't know if this necessarily challenges it, because you know how there's the whole old, the original trilogy versus the prequels, sequels, all this mess. I like all of it, but obviously I grew up on the original trilogy, so it's like there's a bit of nostalgia there. And I feel like, well, actually, just the other day talking to my son and then my daughters, well, we went to Revenge of the Sith, the three of us, I guess a few weeks ago, and watched that. But like, I feel like they definitely, not that they weren't even here when the prequels came out, but that seems like more what they gravitate towards. And even as so far to say, like Jonah, he's said Revenge of the Sith is one of his all-time favorite movies, Wow. And to me, I like it. I would say it's probably my favorite of the prequels, but I wouldn't put it as my favorite of the Star Wars films, although I don't necessarily like ranking them anyway. But I think, they just, for whatever reason, they relate to those, and I guess if anything, not that I've ever been to the point of like, oh, this, my view on Star Wars is better than yours because but it does reiterate the whole thing that there's something for each of us, and each generation has their Star Wars, and it might be the original trilogy for a 5-year-old right now, or it might be the sequels, or it might be, Rebels, or, Clone Wars, which, oh man, that's some of the best Star Wars in my opinion. But, I think it just shows that, man, there is something for everybody, and it's okay because that, we all enjoy it. It gives us something to talk about, and then you can kind of see their perspective, on what they like and why they like it. Yeah. So,
what do you think it is about Star Wars that allows it to resonate so strongly across generations? What maybe core themes or elements do you think are so timeless about it?
I think part of it, similar to the discussion about humor, how, we find a place where we can meet and kind of make fun of these things, but then you can also kind of, you can address certain topics without like being heavy handed with it. And I think with Star Wars I don't think it doesn't have to be this deep, like, oh, there's so many onion layers to this. It can be, which I think that's one aspect, which is great, but it can be just an escape where you just, hey, I just want to watch some silly characters fly around and some lightsabers. Or, in the case of Andor, it's like, man, I want a really deep, like, political thriller drama, the intricacies of how in the world did this empire become, it's like stuff that I saw somebody say yesterday, they're like, I've never been so scared of the empire as I have been now after watching Andor, because it's like, even though we know it's like, I mean,
there's
come on.
There's a real weight to
New Hope,
oppression that you're seeing in this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we literally see in the first Star Wars, them blow up a planet of people, but it's like, for some reason, I feel awful.
They're all faceless and they're nameless. They're just a mass of people.
Yeah, it's like,
we get to
that's
know
awful.
These characters in Andor, and we experience that, especially with like the Gorman massacre. We've got 3 or 4 episodes of experiencing those people before this moment happens. Yeah, and
then you're like, wait, that's Tarkin. That's the same dude who is now doing that, but he's already done all of this, and he is like, and then leading into Rogue One, you're like, oh my gosh, look at Krennic, like man. Like when he booked Dedra on the head, it's like, dude is, anyway, it's just, yeah. So, but, anyways, getting a little off track, but, I think, the whole point of Star Wars, even when George Lucas created it, it's a long time ago, galaxy far, far away, but with like, we've got real people and, human-like characters who are experiencing the same emotions, relationships, issues, maybe done in a more fantastical way. But honestly, it's just, it's just an analogy for, our real life, and that's where if you want to escape, you can just escape and enjoy the story, or you can go further, like talking with our kids about, follow up with a movie. It's like, man, why did we feel that way? Or, what if someone acted like that in real life? Or how have we experienced that? So I think it's just, it's got something for everybody, and you can experience what you need to or want to experience from it. So
that's awesome. When Sam and Nate were little, before the sequel trilogy came out, they weren't really into Star Wars the way that I was. We'd have these marathons. They wanted to have a marathon for my birthday one year, and we watched all 6 of the Star Wars movies, and they were pretty zoned out by the time we got to even the Ewoks and Return of the Jedi. With it, what are some ways that you've been able to see or work with at helping Star Wars be a fun and engaging experience for your kids? Any tips or tricks for other dads that are out there trying to look at ways to introduce a galaxy far, far away to a 7-year-old or something like that?
I think the fact that we have a monkey lizard that goes on all of our vacations with us. Sometimes he has to sneak in the car because we don't have room for Bub. But he always makes it there, and through the thick concrete wall of eye rollage, he still lightens up the mood as we're driving through the mountains of Tennessee, and he's singing some favorite Alabama country song, driving the car while we're looking at elk and not elk, but whatever they've got in the mountains of Tennessee. And so but all kidding aside, I think just, our house, everywhere you go, we've got, there's Star Wars. And so I think just it's kind of, I think, I like to make it fun. So I think we, it's kind of silly and we have fun with it. And then it's like, I think that leads to wanting to watch some of it, maybe because of my passion for it, or because I have fun with it and then they have fun with it, or maybe just they've never not known, kind of like with me growing up, they've always been surrounded by Star Wars. But like you said, younger ages, it's like, you'd be like, hey, let's watch this whole whatever. Like I tried watching Clone Wars with my daughter a few years ago. I was like, oh, it's a cartoon. She'll like, yeah, about an episode in. She's like, she's doing something else.
Not my thing.
Yeah. But the other day when we watched the Tales of the Underworld, she's locked in the whole time and like so I think it's, some of it, it's, just let them take in what they want to take in. Don't force it. I think like with anything, but if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But I feel like, at least in my experience, they both really enjoy it and have come to really get excited about it. Like if there's a movie coming out or, a re-release or any of this, like they're on it. So
that's awesome. As a content creator and as, obviously, a fan being involved in this online community, this fandom can be really, really great. Amazing connections. You meet people. This is how we met each other was through Star Wars, right? And other people that we've connected with, and that's awesome. But it's also a pretty intense world in the Star Wars fandom. And you and I have talked about that multiple times. How do you maintain positivity without getting and bogged down in all the negativity?
I think I remind myself that most people roll their eyes at me when I talk about Star Wars. And so when you get in this online world, you feel like, it's like whatever fandom or niche you're in online on social media, it's like it feels like that's the world. That is everyone in this world of 8 billion, whatever it's up to now, people. It's like, no, it's not. It's even when you hear Celebration, when you're talking hundreds of thousands of people like into Star Wars, going to Star Wars Celebration, it's like, if you do the math, that's not a whole lot of people,
right?
Like compared to the population. So I think first of all, is keeping like all of like 9 of your toes in reality, and then just dipping your pinky in the world of Star Wars social media is one of it. The other is finding those people that are like-minded, and maybe I don't want to say the people that get into all of that are not wise, because I think I mean, we all can get passionate. I mean, I think it's just they're passionate and they feel like maybe they're being, being attacked or being told that their opinion doesn't matter, isn't whatever. So I think keeping a dose of reality, but also, I mean, I'm very blessed to have family and friends surrounding me who are positive and uplifting and like safe. Like I've never known a feeling of like feeling unsafe or unloved or, so I try to also remind myself that some people a lot of people just in general don't have that experience. And so like, you got to also handle it lightly. If someone is like responding in like in the past, I was part of a little cancel thing because someone thought that I did something that I didn't do, but it's, and it's like,
sure.
And it's like, well, I don't even know what you're talking
You've
about.
Never been you haven't been on Star Wars online community long if you haven't gotten canceled. So
right. Yeah. But it's like, even though it wasn't even something that, I mean, it was like, wasn't even something I'd said where someone took the wrong way. Oh, it was completely like, I'm not even a part of that at all. But it was, I guess I was following some account that did something bad that I was like, I didn't even know I was following them because I, at the time, was just following everyone back, like who followed me. Why not? So anyway, it sounds so silly, but it still was hurtful because there were people that I had interacted with and considered to be pretty decent friends, that I met online and had interacted with. And it's like from that day forward, it's like done. It's like, I am like I just am the devil, It's like, wow. And so, but I have to just, it was hurtful and, because it's, that's just, I'm human, but I also had to tell myself, you know what? It's like, the fact that they did that, first of all, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like maybe I just felt like there was a little more of a friendship there than there was, or just they responded differently than I would have, or if they totally believed whatever that was, then, I just have to, be loving and, try to reach out here and there, or just let them go peacefully and just, pray that, that they live their best life and that, I can't hold that in. So I think just letting that stuff go and then finally taking a break. I did that a while back. After that, I took a little break. Last year I took a little break, just, and when I came back, decided to get back on there. I just decided I'm not going to put this, when we talked about this too, just put this pressure on myself. I've got to release something every week. I've got Tuesday has to be this series and Wednesday has to be this short it's like, I can't do it. It just, it'll stress me out.
If this was your full-time job that was supporting your family well, then you could do that. But that's not what this is.
But it's not. And so I'm just going to enjoy it. If something makes me laugh and I have time to create a little funny thing, I will. Right. But if not, I'm not going to put that pressure, which I had done in the past, to try to have this big online presence and all of this. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's
what are some of the favorite pieces of content that you've created and why was it special to you?
Well, one song I did, Remember Shmi. It's based on the Disney song Remember Me from Coco.
Right.
Or is it Pixar? I forget. Anyway, it's Disney.
I think it's a Pixar, yeah.
Okay. But anyway, so I was just, I love that song, Remember Me. I love that movie Coco. And I was in the car and like, most of my brainstorming happens with my kids on the way to or from school. And at the time they're in the car, I was like, man, I love Remember Me. I need to come up with a thing for Star Wars. And my son immediately was like, Remember Shmi. Like, why don't you, it's like, yeah. So like, oh my gosh, that's it. And so I was like, so just an example of, the kids helping out. And,
I love it.
And so I love doing the song, either song parodies or just writing original songs. And what's funny is my kids, both of them, especially my daughter, because she's a little younger, and a lot of her introduction to like popular songs from the past or whatever would be my Star Wars parody version. And so like I did one, it had to be Luke instead of it had to be you, like the Harry Connick kind of version, but I wrote the lyrics. So, but she knows the lyrics to It Had to Be Luke. She didn't know about It Had to Be You. So she's going around singing it. My wife's like, no, it's you. What are you talking about? She's like, no, it's Had to Be Luke. She's like, what have you done to her? But so I think that one just got a lot of it seems to be one that people really like. I think it's just I enjoyed that. And I feel myself singing it with a little ukulele and all, and so I enjoyed that. I did a parody of the Key and Peele skit with the substitute teacher who gets the names wrong, and so I did it where all the students are original trilogy characters. They're all in their desks, and I'm pronouncing their names wrong, and so that was a fun one to do. Anyway, I don't know. I enjoy doing them all. It seems like sometimes the ones I put a whole lot of work into, sometimes they get, they get a good reception. Sometimes they don't. And then sometimes I'll just be in the car like, oh, I'm going to feel myself crying and that I didn't get to go to Star Wars Celebration. And then it gets like all this, like more attention. Like, so it's just hit or miss, but.
If you could have one Star Wars character over for family dinner, who would it be, and what would you serve for dinner?
Oh boy, one Star Wars character. What would I serve for dinner? Probably just have Chewbacca over, and we'd have fried pork. Because he kind of got he kind of got gypped,
and that's the end of this conversation.
On Octo, he got a little gypped. And I kind of felt bad for the guy. A Wookiee just got to eat some barbecue. So, so yeah.
Looking forward. What is you most excited? No, that's okay. Turbis is canon.
Turbis has a name, so he's
Bub isn't. With that. So, looking ahead, what are you most excited about for the future of Star Wars? Both maybe it's something that's coming out, maybe it's just the idea, maybe just as a fan who shares it with children.
Man, I am excited about Mandalorian and Grogu, just because I feel like when the Mandalorian came out on Disney Plus, it was that whole that resurgence, kind of like the feel when Force Awakens came out, just like it's back, and it was different, the soundtrack's a little different, but even with the intro that they're still doing, the Star Wars intro on Disney Plus, with all the helmets and the lights going over the different droid helmets and all, it's just, it gives me that same feeling that I get when a long time ago, Galaxy Far, Far, Far Away comes on the screen in a movie release. And so I think I really have become attached to the world of the Mandalorian. Kind of missed it, honestly. It's been a little while. And so I feel like, and bringing some of these other series together, I'm looking forward to, and just having new Star Wars in the theater. I just feel like, man, there's not a better way to experience Star Wars. So any re-releases that come out, glad to check those out as well. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So where can listeners of Tatooine Sons find Star Wars and Smile and all the other projects, things you're doing online?
Well, the quickest way is to either go to camraysemiproductions.com or starwarsandsmile.com. They take you to the same place right now. I'm still working on building a big network I want to put all my stuff on a website because I've done a whole lot of graphic design and stuff like that. But if you go there, it'll have kind of links to the podcast. It'll have links to all my social media. I'm on X, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram and Facebook. So you can find me there, mostly either at CamRay or at CamRay Semi Productions. But like I said, if you just go to camraysemiproductions.com, you can link from there.
And then finally, what's one piece of advice that you would give to dads who are just starting their Star Wars journey with their kids?
I would say let them lead you, and don't, think of them as the master and you're the Padawan in the sense of what media they take in. It might be an Ewok's Golden Book, or it might be, an original trilogy prequel. It might be there's Kelly Knox has a Star Wars dad jokes book out. It's kind of funny for older kids. It's that I enjoy. Look up. There's a lot of good books. Maybe just know your kid and let them kind of lead what interests them. I think kind of give them the palette and then let them see what they're interested in. And I think it'll develop and I think you'll enjoy it together. That's the biggest point.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Man, what a blast that is. Let me tell you, that was so much fun chatting with Cam from Star Wars and Smile. Seriously, what a great conversation. We really got to explores some relatable stuff for us dads and for all of us, moms and dads, anybody who grew up obsessed with Star Wars and are now experiencing it through the eyes of the next generation. I mean, first off, we talked about what that feels like, that pure, unadulterated joy of seeing Star Wars through our kids' eyes. It's like experiencing it all over again for the first time. They pick up on things that we totally missed. They challenge our old school interpretations and honestly just remind us of that original magic that hooked us in the first place. It's pretty awesome. And then we got into something I think that is really important, keeping Star Wars fun and light. Cam's got a great philosophy about steering clear of the super dark corners of the fandom, and I totally agree. It is all about laughter and excitement and creating those joyful memories with our kids. Let's face it, sometimes the internet can get a little intense. So it's so important to keep that front and center and remember that. And then finally, Cam shared some seriously cool and practical tips for making Star Wars an unforgettable adventure for our younglings, whether it's making up silly stories or just having those awesome geeky discussions. There are a million ways to ignite that same passion we have for that galaxy far, far away in our kids. So if you enjoyed this episode as much as we did, please give us a follow on all of our social media channels. It's always at Tatooine Sons. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast fix. And again, for even more Star Wars goodness, check out our Tatooine Sons Substack newsletter. We're always sharing updates and exclusive content there. Thanks for hanging out with us today, everyone. Remember, may the Force be with you and with your kids as you explore the galaxy together.
Thank you for listening to Tatooine Sons, a Star Wars podcast. Please subscribe and follow Tatooine Sons on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast app. Tatooine Sons regularly publishes thoughtful articles intended to provoke conversation about the larger themes in Star Wars. Go to TatooineSons.com to explore further. And may the Force be with you, always.
This podcast, website, and social media accounts are not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Star Wars, all names and sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items and properties are trademarks of Lucasfilm Limited and its affiliates. All original content of this podcast and website is the intellectual property of Tatooine Sons unless otherwise indicated.